would like to congratulate Shraddha and the team for such a wonderful event. I think they deserve a big hand from all of us. I was at East Parks 3 years ago when Ola was a very, very small company, and I was actually pitching. And I remember you guys did not give me the first prize. But the event has grown so much since then. It represents the Indian startup ecosystem very, very well. So wonderful job on that.
Thank you so much.
And I want to say one thing to everyone. He had this crazy passion, and he's like telling me he showed, and everyone in the office. He went to everyone literally, and anyone who's coming, and he was showing, look at this app. And I think that's the passion, right? And just standing and showing, and I was feeling slightly embarrassed. Okay, this entrepreneur non-stop he's standing in this barren office, and सबको दिखाए जा रहा है वो app. And it's great for Made in India. We have now international apps and companies, but it's a great testimony of Made in India, right? And a big round of applause to what he's built.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's new at Ola? What's happening?
Bunch of things actually. We launched our Kali Pili yesterday. I don't know whether you guys saw it, but the Kali Pili, which is iconic of Mumbai, you can now book it through Ola. See, our vision is that transportation should be a service people use. It should not be a car you own. I don't own a car, and my wife gives me a lot of grief on it every day. But that's what we'll be doing going forward. We'll be enabling the average urban citizen to make his transportation life much more easier as we go forward. Yeah, so the Kali Pili was one step in that direction.
Sure. So you guys are today 30,000 cabs across 19 cities in India.
Yeah.
And what does it take to achieve that kind of growth? And for you as a founder, how do you define the culture of Ola? What's the DNA of the company?
Yeah. So I think what it takes is we like to work on a very first principles approach. We as a company are reasonably aggressive on targets, reasonably fast-paced. We like to believe we are ambitious, but it's for the external world to judge that, and for our investors to judge that. But yeah, aggression, building on first principles is what we like to do. And like I said, in the transportation space, that's what we've done over time. Recent steps are also in that direction.
Sure. So you're 1,000+ people today, and how has your culture evolved from the time you've started, from the day you've come to our office to today? How have you guys changed?
So I don't pitch the app anymore. But see, it's a challenge for every entrepreneur to keep the crux of his culture constant, and that's what I also want to do as we go. I don't think we have the answer right away, but I want to keep that nimbleness alive as the company is growing very, very fast. I want to keep the aggressive focus on targets and the first principles approach alive. What happens is, as you build process, the first principles approach to solving problems and looking at any challenge with a fresh perspective starts to die out. So that's a challenge that I personally want to solve over the next year or two.
Sure. So you guys had to face competition very early on, and you had local competition as well as global competition. So how do you view that today?
Yeah. See, I think competition is good for the industry and good for the consumer. It's good for the consumer because it makes the existing players lean, makes them become more lean, makes them become more focused on the consumer. Like you said, we faced competition very early on compared to, let's say, what the e-commerce companies faced, specifically international competition. But I think we've been focused on our Indian roots, and we've been focused on building our model for India, and that served us very, very well, to an extent where right now we have more than 60% market share, despite international competition being around for more than 1.5 years. So I think what we've really been able to do is just be very, very strongly rooted in India. For example, we allow cash payments. Even though we have a wallet solution now, a lot of people pay through cash. The real India pays through cash. We have a call center. We allow you to schedule rides. There are a lot of these things which make our model complex in one dimension, but also easier for consumers in one dimension.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about Ola Wallet. So initially we thought it was about booking easy rides, but now you're also doing deliveries. You're doing 20,000 deliveries for Diwali, right? So tell us more about that.
So the delivery thing is just a marketing experiment. We don't think it's going to be a business or anything. So what we're doing, I don't know how many of you know about the delivery thing, but on Diwali, if you have friends in any of our 20 cities, you can essentially open the Ola app, send them a box of dry fruits at the click of a button in 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes from thinking that you want to send to the dry fruit box getting there. And that's how easy it is. But that's just a marketing, that shows how our platform can enable real-time logistics.
Sure.
Right? And you pay through your Ola Money wallet. Yeah.
Sure. So one of the other very interesting things about what you guys are doing is that you're creating these entrepreneurs, right? You give out loans to drivers and they're now entrepreneurs, and that way you're actually impacting the socio-economic fabric of this country. So how do you think about what you guys are doing there?
See, our PM has put a huge focus on skill development. I think our company is very nicely positioned to do our small bit in that perspective, because we are a marketplace of transportation where we help consumers interact with transport providers in a more efficient way. At a very abstract level, that's what we do. And there are millions and millions of drivers who even today are on the roads working in a very inefficient system. So what we've done is we've actually taken an ecosystem approach where we've tied up with a bunch of ecosystem players like car manufacturers, like NBFCs, like insurance providers, and leveraged our scale to make it easier for the driver to buy a car at a cheaper rate, get a loan, a better structured loan, get a cheaper access to insurance, get a cheaper access to repairs, or buy a second-hand car. So there's a whole ecosystem around transportation, and we've used our scale to bring that to the driver. And we believe we need to be the representative of the small guy, of the small business owner.
That's amazing. So yesterday we were talking to one of your investors, won't name them, but he was telling us that you had to go through a lot of pain when you were raising angel money, and you also told me backstage that one of your toughest times was when you didn't have angel money.
Yeah.
So walk us through a little bit of that process, and today you probably have like how many $1 million in funding? And a lot of entrepreneurs in this room can relate to that sentiment.
Yeah, the angel raising round was the toughest part. And I can now understand it from the perspective of the investors I was speaking to back then, because I was just a wide-eyed boy out of college, working for 2 years in a non-business role. I'm sure they would have had skepticisms around how this guy would grow a company, how this guy would manage a business. And the entire space that we had chosen was not hot. There was no Uber back then. There was nobody knew that transportation is a sexy thing, right? So it was tough, but it was, I think those days helped the entrepreneur and helped the business understand what it is really, what value it's really adding. And it's fair to walk through fire early on, because it just removes all the unnecessary details, right? It just makes you focus on the essence.
Sure. So my last question to you is that, there are a lot of young entrepreneurs here today, and all of them want to do something in consumer internet, and you have done something really awesome there. So what's your advice for them?
I think you should just go out and start. It's a very simple thing to say, but a very hard thing to do. Right? I remember it was very hard for me. When I started off, my parents thought I was becoming a travel agent. And I had a hard time convincing them that I was not. So just go out and start. Specifically on the consumer internet side, mobile is one paradigm that's totally changing everything. When I was a teenager, people used to lust after cars. Now people lust after phones. People want the latest phone. Nobody wants the latest car anymore, right? So the mobile is going to be centric to the next decade of consumption. And every business will be rewritten using mobile as a paradigm. And we actually have been fortunate enough to ride that wave very early on in the smartphone and the app era. Sure. And I think new businesses, you should just think mobile first. You should think how the industry that you've chosen can be impacted by the mobile paradigm, and build for it immediately.
Okay, thank you so much. Huge round of applause, guys. Thank you, Bhavish.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.